Welcome to another edition of Danny's Hot Takes. Today we're going to be in our series on how to play 40k 9th edition. Today we're going to be going over how to play in the psychic phase. All right. Warrior mystics and sorcerers wield the strange powers of the warp to aid their allies and destroy their foes. Harnessing this force is not without risk, however. With the smallest mistake, their effort can spell doom for all nearby. Right, exactly. Man, got to watch out for that Perils of the Warp, guys. All right. Psychic phase is pretty cut and dry. There are models that have the Psyker keyword. Some models. Not all models, but some models. And Psykers can try and manifest psychic powers during the psychic phase. So you start your psychic phase by selecting an eligible psyker from your army that's on the battlefield, and then you can choose which powers he wants to use. If you have no eligible psyker units from your army on the table on the battlefield, and you have no other rules that need to be resolved in the psychic phase, you can just end the psychic phase. You don't have to do it. When I have armies like that, I tend to call it the cowards phase because that seems accurate. Once you've selected an eligible psyker from your army to actually attempt to manifest one or more psychic powers, you finish manifesting all this unit's psychic powers all at once, or all that you want to, and then you go on to the next psyker. So you don't get to skip between different psykers. You have to actually manifest all the powers from one psyker at a time and then move on to the next one. That is how that works. Every psyker will know a certain number of psychic powers. All psykers know smite, and then they will know additional psychic powers. And those will be described which psychic powers they know, if they know specific ones, or if they know ones from a particular psychic discipline that their army has access to. That'll be detailed in their data sheet. But the smite psychic power is your pretty standard one. So it is... Actually, we'll go over smite at the end of this because I want to talk about how you actually manifest psychic powers. So you pick a psychic power. You can't pick the same psychic power as another psyker has already tried to manifest, with the exception of smite. And then you attempt to manifest a psychic power by taking a psychic test. A psychic test is where you roll 2d6, and you have to roll equal to or better than the warp charge value of the psychic power in order to have it manifest. If you roll, if this power is successfully manifested, your opponent can attempt to deny the witch. So their psyker or unit that can deny the witch has to be within 24 inches of your psyker, and they roll 2 dice, and they try and roll better than your psychic test. If your psychic test if they roll better than your psychic test, then the power doesn't happen. Sorry, guys, your witch was denied. If you when you try and manifest a psychic power but not to deny the witch, if you roll a double 1 or a double 6, the psyker suffers from Perils of the Warp. When that happens, your psyker takes D3 mortal wounds. If your psyker dies, the power fails. So if this is like the last wound he has, and he takes some mortal wounds and passes away, the psychic power doesn't happen. And if the psyker dies, all units within 6 inches of him also take D3 mortal wounds. That's what we talk about when the psyker makes the smallest mistake. He pays for it, and so do his friends, or sometimes the enemy. It just depends. Smite is a psychic power that every single psyker has access to. When you manifest smite, you add 1 to the warp charge value for every other attempt of smite that your army has tried to do. So if you have 5 smikers, if you have 5 psykers, the first one can manifest it on a 5, so that's the warp charge value is a 5. The second one can manifest it has to roll a 6. The third one has to roll a 7, and so on and so forth until you reach the last guy, who's going to need a 9 to get it off, which is a lot. If you manifest it, the closest visible enemy unit will take D3 mortal wounds, which is pretty good. And if the psychic test was 11 or more, it's what is commonly known as a super smite, and that unit will take D6 mortal wounds instead. So this is a really great power to kind of push through some extra mortal wounds on your opponent, so that they don't get saves against those. And so that concludes the entirety of the psychic phase.